I wanted to go over with you my work with this Shetland pony named Handy. I had started him in carriage driving some years ago, and the owners brought him back for a tune-up and to start again. They had also had some significant bitting issues with him, including him consistently putting his tongue over the bit. With a carriage driving horse, I want them to have a complete program on the ground, including good balanced lunging. He was tending to drop the shoulder to the inside and look to the outside, be very unbalanced and rushing in the lunging, so I decided to work on this. Because I was aware of the issues with putting the tongue over the bit and being fussy in the contact, I wanted to make sure he was okay with me handling his mouth area. It's a very sensitive area, and I don't want to mistake his sensitivity of me handling the area or asking him for the flexions on a halter with what he might be feeling or struggling with the bit. So first, I went through all of the motions I would go through in doing his in-hand flexions with the bit. I did it on the halter. To be clear, the question I needed to answer for myself to be able to teach him clearly what I needed from him, what I wanted him to understand, is, are you struggling specifically with the bit, with flexing this way and that, even when I ask you without the bit, or is it a combination of both? Because it would be better for me to divide these things, to separate them, and work on them individually before combining them. I found that he wasn't too upset about going through the motions with the flexions on the halter. So I went ahead and moved on to the bit once he was good with the halter. I wanted to review the work that I might be doing in hand from the front, because sometimes horses can be intimidated or feel a bit overfaced with hands very closely besides their nose. And I wanted to make sure that wasn't a problem for him. I didn't want him to be fussing or tossing his head simply because my hands were enclosing his muzzle. So I went through that and asking him to flex both ways 90 degrees like I would in the flexions with the bit. After this, I went ahead and started mimicking the work from the side. Here I begin with the work from the side just to make sure that he has a clear understanding of what I'll be asking from the side with a bit. I'm showing you all of these steps because sometimes horses do have a significant problem with things that have to do with their muzzle and their head, and that comes into play when you go ahead and start doing the work in hand with the bit. I don't want him to struggle with two things at the same time. I know this can seem like it's a pretty long video talking simply about the contact with a horse, but when they're struggling, it can take a long time and quite a bit of patient handling, patiently waiting, following the mouth, following their movements, so that they can decide that having the bit in their mouth and having you interact with the bit is a safe place and a safe environment. You can see that he moves his mouth a lot, that he tosses his head a bit, that his mouth is busy but not relaxed, and he's trying to evade my simple request of, can you stay here with me? Can you stay here with me? I'm not going to ask him to give me a flexion until I feel that he has some idea of just accepting my presence in his mouth. That sounds really strange, but it's an intimate area full of nerves and blood supply. I want him to feel comfortable talking to me through his mouth. This is the only place that I can begin to make progress with him. And yes, some horses are going to need this much time, this much waiting, and this much patience. It's only fair to spend the time, because really, what is a half an hour or an hour or a few hours? and the lifetime usability of any horse. It's not very long. And to get this clarified definitely pays dividends in the end. It pays dividends all along. It's the only way that's fair for the horse to understand that he is safe in my hands. And he deserves that, even if he's only a little guy. I'm going to take the time, especially with a driving horse, because they really need to understand the bit, because it's the main communication aid. They have the bit, they have the voice, and they have the whip. And I really need them to understand all three, especially the bit. That's the most sophisticated place that I can speak the most language to them and request the most amount of things from a driving horse. So it's absolutely worth the time to me. We saw some yawning just a few seconds ago, and that's a beginning of him releasing the jaw. I was so lost in my thought that I didn't bring it to your attention. But he's starting to believe that it's okay for me to be here, and it's okay for me to be in contact with his mouth. I did want to point out that the yawning was a form of release and relaxation. That's what we're looking for. He finally let go and started giving me a relaxed movement of the mouth. It might be coming up on time to start some flexions. Since he struggled so much, I want to give him a break, let him know that this is exactly where I wanted him to be. I don't want to rush on to the next thing. That is a good kid. Now I'm hoping we can move on to some flexions. Looks like one last review. Can I pick up? Are you okay with me being here? Can you settle down quickly and easily? Just checking one more time. It doesn't hurt anything at all. Then maybe I'll move on to doing some flexions. Looks like he needs a little more review. A little bit more time to realize that it's okay. And you know what? I don't mind. That's why I made this video in this way, so you can see this can happen on any given day with any given horse. It probably won't. He's pretty extreme, but it might. Well, that's a bit of an extreme response. Looks like we need a little bit more review, but he got quiet pretty quickly. Or maybe not as much as I thought. It's okay. Just another review. It's not a problem. Oh, here we go. We're trying a flexion. It's not bad. There, that's not too bad. We're starting to get somewhere. I'm waiting a little bit in this flexion for him to quiet down, knowing that that is his biggest struggle. So I want to start out right from the beginning saying, if you can settle, then I'm going to give this back to you. If you can't settle, that's okay. I'll just wait. I really want to make that point as soon as I can, quietly, no problem, no struggle, but please settle in. Please be still. Please trust me. This time I decide to go ahead and let him straighten a little bit because he's really struggling settling when he's in the flexion. He settles and I give him a reward. I wanted to show you a view where you could see more of what was happening here. Plus with the littles, I sometimes feel like I have a better vantage point if I can get down to their level without the risk of getting clobbered. Because yes, even this sweet little pumpkin darling, when he first came to me in training, greeted me with both front legs on my shoulders. So I wanted to make sure he had some understanding and that I wasn't in any danger. And then I wanted to get down to his level so you could see what was happening, and so I could be where I felt like I could see what was happening much better. I'm trying to follow him as best I can in the flexion to help him receive the flexion and receive my presence there with the bit with some relaxation. This is already an improvement that I'm happy with. I can pick up the contact with much less movement, so I give him a reward right before I even ask for a flexion. And poof goes the forelock. Oh, I'm sorry, just having a little pony fun. Okay, back to the lower vantage point so that you and I can both see what's going on more clearly. Again, I want not only to have the flexion, but to change his mind about the contact. The contact is comfortable. Being here with me is nice. You don't have to worry about it, and in that worry, be doing all of these movements, trying to find a way to get away from it. Just hang out with me for a bit. It's going to be fine. I would say I promise, but, I don't know how much I can promise. I know, oh my gosh, it's really not that bad, I promise. Oh, wait a minute, there's me promising again. Okay, all right, here you are, little dude. Stay with me, stay with me. You're doing fine. You're gonna get this. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Don't do this to me anymore. Ah! There we go, quieting down. That's it. That's what we're looking for. You're getting closer. Good kid. Now these flexions are taking him quite a while to relax into, so I want to quietly repeat them until he finds them to be less offensive, less whatever he thinks they are. So I'm like, no, not way over there, but I just follow him and I say, hey, can you come over here? Coming over here is not so bad. We have cookies over here. Oh, wait a minute, he doesn't know that yet. So here we go. Good, yes, what a good kid. Lower vantage point again. Let's see if this takes him a little less time. We can certainly hope so. Well, already he's not being quite as expressive about his displeasure, and that's good. We're doing okay. Just waiting for the quietness, just waiting for the quietness. Yeah, you know what? This is better. And he's not really being nearly as upset about the whole thing. He's starting to get a pretty good idea of what I want from him, and I want to find a place where we can review one last time and pick it up again tomorrow. Just relaxation. I'm here. You can bend. It's good. No problem. Great job. And I will see you tomorrow, little dude. That's what I was waiting for, and that's what I was willing to spend the time on.